Hello and welcome. My name is Chris Shelton, coming to you from sunny San Jose, California, the heart of Silicon Valley. Today what we're talking about is 5-element nutrition and what does this all mean. In particular, what we're looking at is the 5 flavors and how they affect the 5 major organs of the body and how this benefits you and your overall health and happiness. When we look at Chinese nutrition, what's really great about it is that it encompasses so many different things. What are the energetic properties and what are its functions of the foods that you're eating? Not just looking at the nutritional value. So when we look at the 5 major organs, which relates back to starting off with our metal element, which is our lungs, and then the earth element, which is our spleen and our stomach, the fire element, which is our heart and our small intestine, and then our water element, which is our kidneys and our bladder, and then the wood element, which is the liver and the gallbladder. So all of these 5 organs all have different colors and different flavors that actually benefit them. What I love about Chinese nutrition is that we don't just look at the nutritional value of the fruits and vegetables that we're eating or the meat that we're eating, but what we're looking at is the energetic properties and how it affects different organs in the body and actually how it helps to prevent disease. Or in some cases, if you eat too much of something, actually how it actually starts to show up to indicate disease. So when we look at the 5 elements, the 5 elements are, just as a review, starting off with the wood element, which relates to our liver and our gallbladder, and the flavors that are sour or astringent actually relate back to the liver and the gallbladder. When we look at the heart, which is the fire element, the foods that are bitter in nature actually affect or benefit the heart. Then when we look at the lungs, for example, the lungs relate back to our metal element, and the metal element relates back to foods that are pungent in nature. And then when we look at our earth element, which is our stomach, spleen, and pancreas, foods that are sweet or bland in nature actually benefit, within moderation, benefit this functioning of the spleen and the pancreas. And then foods that are salty in nature relates back to our water element, which is our kidneys and our urinary bladder. So what do these 5 flavors do, and how can I utilize these 5 flavors in order to be mindful when I'm eating something of what I'm trying to do inside the body? So right now we're actually in the metal elements. During this time of the year, during the autumn months, that disease starts to show up, and we're actually starting to see, at least here in the San Francisco Bay Area, more and more people are starting to get colds and these flus that are coming around, because as the temperature drops, then guess what happens? Bacteria comes alive, viruses and the bacteria come alive. So foods that are pungent in nature have a dispersing and invigorating quality about them. And so foods like onions, garlic, mint help to disperse. So what does that mean? To disperse pathogens, for example, from the interior that are being invaded from the exterior. Or also the other thing about invigorating, which is another function of the pungent flavor, helps with things, for example, like stagnation. And in Chinese medicine, disease happens when there's stagnation in the body. That's why it's so important to get up and move around, do things like Tai Chi, Qigong, yoga, Pilates, CrossFit, whatever it is that you like to do, or just a brisk walk is so good, because if you lie dormant, guess what? That creates stagnation in the body and helps to promote unhealthy lifestyle habits, but also helps to promote disease. So when we want to remove stagnation, we could actually eat foods that are pungent in nature, which then will help to circulate, in particular, the qi, blood, and yin and yang of the body. So when we have pungent foods in our diet, it actually has a quality to be able to disperse. So what does this mean also? This means that if you have a cold or a flu, that it's really good because you could actually eat these foods in order to invigorate sweating. So once again, so foods that are like onions, garlics, leeks. Turnips are actually my favorite because turnips actually have these antibacterial, antifungal properties, besides being pungent in nature, which if you have a flu or a cold, you could actually eat turnips or baked turnips and in fact help to disperse the symptoms of the virus overall. Okay, so those are foods that are pungent in nature. Then when we look at the wood element, well, the wood element once again relates back to our liver and our gallbladder, and foods that are sour or astringent in nature. So what does the sour and astringent foods do for us? So when we look at foods that are sour, the sour flavor actually has an absorbing or consolidating action to it. So it's really useful for things like excessive bodily discharge that we see, for example, with excessive sweating, diarrhea, nocturnal emissions, vaginal discharge. Those types of things, when you eat the sour foods within reason, can actually help to slow down or stop the side effects of those symptoms. So what are some of the foods, for example, that are sour or astringent in nature? So we're looking at the Chinese apple plum, vinegar, lemons and limes. Those are sour in nature. And once again, those foods help to actually benefit the liver and the gallbladder and help to reduce the side effects of excessive bodily discharge. So the next one we're talking about is foods that are bitter in nature. And foods that are bitter in nature actually have to benefit within moderation the heart, small intestine, and the pericardium, which is the sac that actually protects the heart. So foods that are bitter in nature, they actually have a positive action of helping to dry up dampness in the body as well as dispersing. So what does dispersing mean? Dispersing actually means in this case to help to disperse excess heat, for example, because the heart is affected by too much heat in the body. So, or to disperse also if you have a cough, a chronic dry cough, the bitter flavor could actually help to benefit your body by helping to disperse the cough from the body or the cold from the body. Dampness, so what is dampness? Well, dampness could be things like edema, candida, vaginal discharge, yeast infections, those types of things. Cancers are also or phlegm inside the body are forms of dampness. So eating foods that are bitter not only benefits the heart itself within moderation, but also helps to remove the excess dampness inside the body, helps to dry it up. So if you have excessive phlegm all the time, one of the things you need to do is you need to stop eating things that are sugary and cold and raw, and actually increase in moderation foods that are bitter to help with this process of drying up the dampness. The next one here is the salty flavor. The salty flavor actually helps to benefit the kidneys and the urinary bladder. One of the cool things about the salty flavor is it helps to dissolve hardenings and it helps to soften things inside the body. So what does that mean? So things like fibroids, tumors, cancers, goiters, for example, if you apply it with seaweed, you can actually help to shrink the size of the goiter. So the salty flavor actually helps to break down hardenings inside the body. So if you're somebody that has lumps, we see clients, for example, in clinic, they'll come in with these mysterious lumps inside the body. So one of the things that we actually recommend that they do is to eat more salty foods, or foods that actually benefit the kidneys. Okay, the other thing about the salty flavor too is that it actually helps to lubricate the intestines. And so in my new book that I'm writing, the DIY Home Remedies book, when I talk about constipation, for example, one of the remedies for helping to treat constipation is actually taking a 4-ounce glass of hot water and 2 teaspoons of Himalayan sea salt and drink that down on an empty stomach before going to bed. Now, it may not taste the greatest, but it actually will help to lubricate the intestines. The only time that this is contraindicated, though, is if you have hypertension, high blood pressure, or anxiety. So heart conditions, you probably want to talk to your doctor first before administering this remedy to your diet. So foods that are salty in nature would be like seaweed, kelp. I've talked about this before where on other videos about nutrition. Cooking with like kelp granules, for example, yes, benefits that kidney network, but guess what else? It also helps to benefit your thyroid too. So if you have thyroid issues, then the kelp will actually, or the kelp granules, putting that inside your food while you're cooking will actually help with that as well too. Other foods that are considered salty in nature would be obviously seafood, saltwater fish, small saltwater fish. You know, sardines are loaded with all kinds of omegas. And the cool thing about sardines is that because they're so small, they haven't absorbed all the mercury that the larger fish that have been swimming around the ocean have unfortunately had to absorb. So if you want to add more omegas, healthy omegas, I would recommend sardines, shellfish, but also to really look at your system and see if the shellfish will actually benefit you, or if you're allergic to shellfish, obviously you're going to stay away. But other foods too that would be considered salty in nature would be like black beans, azuki beans, kidney beans, obviously, and tofu. Okay, so that's for the kidney network and the water element. And then when we look at the sweet or bland flavor, well, the sweet or the bland flavor actually helps to benefit the stomach, spleen, and the pancreas. So what does the sweet flavor do? Well, this naturally sweet flavor helps to invigorate. It helps to increase the movement of body fluids, chi, and blood. It actually helps to create blood. It also, what else does it do? It helps to decelerate. And what does decelerate mean? Decelerate means to relax. So if you have shooting pain from different areas of the body, having foods that are sweet or bland in nature will actually help to decelerate or relax those muscles. So if you're having muscle spasms that are very painful, or you get sharp stabbing pains inside the body, and you've been to your primary doctor and they can't figure out what it is, start introducing foods that are naturally sweet. Now, unfortunately, though, what happens is that we go for sugar. So whether it's breads and pastas or the chocolate cake, that's what we go for. And what's interesting too is that the sweet flavor actually helps to increase energy. And so that's why when we are tired or we are run down, then what happens is that we tend to run for that Snickers bar or whatever, because it gives us quick energy. But what we really want for long-lasting energy and better health for our body are foods like sweet potatoes, yams, acorn squash. And it also, what those foods will do too, rice, basmati rice, oatmeal is also considered a bland food or naturally sweet food. What these bland foods do too is they actually help to strengthen the organs. So if you have organ weaknesses, we did a video before, check out the link below, about prolapses. We talked about the prolapse where the organs actually fall out of place, where there's not enough strength to hold these organs in. Then having more naturally sweet foods into your diet will actually help you tremendously. But again, if you eat a lot of sugar, or if you are craving sugar, then what's happening is that your poor spleen and stomach's talking to you, say, listen to me, I need more of these naturally sweet foods, not carbs, like I said, like breads and pastas, or candy or chocolate, but actually real wholesome foods that will help to strengthen and help to nurture. Okay, so we talked about the 5 flavors and how it benefits the body. And again, a lot of these things, what we want to do is we want to do it in moderation. For example, I've recommended to people before that they drink lime juice throughout the day, or hot water with lime in it. And then what I find is then they go to the extreme and they're buying these whole bottles of pure lime juice and they're drinking it all day, and then they're ended up with acid reflux or whatever, and they're wondering why. It's because it's too much. You want to have things in moderation. It's a proper balance. But the cool thing I hope you walk away from with this video today is that understanding that these different flavors of foods actually benefit the different internal organs of the body, which then helps to reduce inflammation in the body and helps to correct the different diseases. So we're using food as medicine, not just food, right? Food is medicine and fuel for the body, but not just to eat it. Now, grant you, I love good food, and you know, I do like to splurge every now and then, but a lot of times when I cook, for example, what I'm really looking at is, okay, what spices can I add to my diet? What foods do I need to eat, for example, to be able to help with whatever's going on? Last week I started to catch a little cough. Like I said earlier in this video, a lot of people are getting sick with colds right now, and so the foods that I ate and added to my diet were purposefully there for the lung network to help to disperse and expel the pathogen from my body. So I'm being mindful about what I'm eating. Okay, so what kind of Qigong practices can we do? Well, your stomach and your earth element, this element here, they call this the Qi thoroughfare. This is where all your energy comes in, the food, the nutrients come in. Stomach Qi is strong. Guess what? Your immune system is strong. Now, grant you, if you get my book, Qigong for Self-Refinement, Total Health with the 5 Elements, click on the link below. Inside the book, I talk about how the lungs control what is known as the Wei Qi. That's W-E-I Qi. This Wei Qi actually is like this energetic bubble that helps to protect us from the pathogens coming in. Well, guess what? That stomach and spleen also plays a big role in that. There's something like 15 pounds, they say, of healthy bacteria inside the gut. So if your gut health is healthy, then guess what? Your overall immunity will be healthy. So the Qigong practice that I really love is from actually a Taoist master, Master Hua Jingni, who started Yosan University in Los Angeles and the Tao Wellness Center in Santa Monica, California. And the first one here is to stimulate the saliva. And I know that seems kind of strange, but did you know you could actually deplete your qi, number one, from talking too much, but number two, if you're somebody who spits a lot, that actually will disperse or deplete your stomach's qi. So a simple practice that you could do is to stimulate the digestive process, because this is where the food comes in, by starting off by biting down on the front of the teeth 9 times, biting down on the right side 9 times. I'm doing this really quickly. And then on the molars, you bite down 9 times. And then on the left side 9 times. And then what you're going to do, and I'm not going to do it completely right here, right now, but then what you want to do is you want to circulate the tongue 36 times around. In one direction, and then counterclockwise the other direction. And the saliva that you end up building up inside your mouth, what you're going to do is you're mindfully going to swallow and feel that go all the way down into the stomach. You're going to do this 3 times. Okay, is to help to nurture the stomach. Okay, so that's one practice that you go ahead and do. First thing in the morning, for example. And also one other thing too, on top of that, when you brush your teeth, you should be brushing your teeth with warm water, not with cold water. Okay. The other practice to do as well, and this is in my chapter on constipation. So we're going to take the Lao Gung points. This is pericardium 8 right here. So pericardium 8, this is the Lao Gung. So for men, you're going to place the right hand over the left, and for women, you're going to place the left hand over the right to contain the yin and yang for both parties. So anyways, you're going to start with the Lao Gung point, and we're going to start at the navel, and we're going to begin to circulate around. And as I circulate around, this is really good for constipation. It helps to stimulate the intestines to help with evacuation. So if you do have constipation, we're going in a clockwise fashion. Now you can do this 36 rotations, eventually going all the way down to the hips and encompassing the entire ribs, okay? And this is really good for stimulating the movement and allowing for the evacuation. Now, if you're somebody who has diarrhea, you want to go the opposite direction. And the same thing, again, we're going to place the hands over the lower abdomen, actually over the belly button, Lao Gung point, pericardium 8, over that belly button, the umbilicus, and you're going to begin to rotate in the opposite direction once again 36 times, or if you do more than 36, that's fine, but slowly rotating out until you touch or reach the ribs, the side of the body, and the xiphoid process. Okay, so that's another cool practice to do. And then one of my favorite practices to do is actually inside my book. It's called Massaging the Yang Organs. This is also on our YouTube channel as well too. I can't do it because my stove's in the way here, but all I'm going to do is I'm inhaling and the hands come up, and then I exhale, allow the hands to swing down. So this is really good for any kind of stomach upset. This is really good if you eat too much food or you eat the wrong kind of food, or if you were having a heated argument while eating. Then what you're going to do is you're going to inhale, allow the hands to come up. Imagine golden light coming up from the earth. As you exhale, allow for that toxicity from the internal organs, in particular the intestines, the bladder, the gallbladder, and the spleen and stomach, to leave out through the feet and down deep into the ground. Okay, then you'll finish by pulling down on the heavens 3 times, inhaling, gathering back, and inhale. Okay, so there you go. So here we gave you a few Qigong practices that are really beneficial to help to stimulate digestion. We talked about today the 5 elements and how it relates to the 5 energetic properties of food. In particular, what we're talking about is the 5 flavors of food, and what are those functions and how can we utilize eating these specific types of foods in order to help us with certain conditions inside the body. If you want more information on Chinese nutrition and understanding the energetic properties of food, indications and contraindications, our good friend Dr. Mao Xingli from Yosan University in Los Angeles a number of years ago wrote this book, The Tao of Nutrition, and it's going to give you simple food remedies for all types of conditions, and it's going to explain a little bit deeper about what are the functions of these 5 flavors and what are the energetic properties of foods themselves. So click on the link below and check out this book. It's amazing. And let us know. I want to hear from you what you want us to talk about, or would you like to hear me to talk about, so that way I can provide with you the information that you're looking for to better empower you so you have the complete life and healthy life that you and everybody else deserves to have. So I'm Chris Shelton, signing off from a beautiful sunny San Jose, California, in my kitchen. And until next time, I will chi you later.